Now, you just heard the official account coming in from MHA, and before that, JNK police also briefed on the same. Now, both of them ruled out the terror angle in the Nowgaon police station blast, and they're calling it accidental, also adding that any other speculation right now is unnecessary. How do you read this, sir?
No doubt about it. It is purely accidental. There's nothing to do as far as the terror action is concerned.
Okay.
But what surprised me is one must understand that ammonia nitrate by itself is not explosive. When the fuel oil is added to that, the deadly cocktail, but that has to be also detonated. There has to
Right.
be a detonator, there has to be a timer, there has to be a battery, and then only it become IED. Now my point is, it was already IED and it was then transported from Faridabad to Nowgaon in Srinagar, where the sampling action was to take. No denying the fact you need to do all the action sampling, also forensic, you have to do investigation. But the fact is that once you have a ID, then handling too many times it becomes very sensitive. And once it is sensitive, it can't blast it off because JNK police is expert and they know it that this type of handling requires a very mature handling and should not be carried. I suppose that carrying IED from Faridabad to Navgaon itself was wrong because
Okay.
if you carry that, it is very sensitive, it can blast off any time. And the principle of this is in Jammu and Kashmir, where I served almost more than 2 decades, is that when there is an ID, it has to be blasted off. Because if you try to take it, it more you handle, the more sensitive it becomes, and it can blown off accidentally also. And the same thing has happened here. And unfortunately, we have lost a lot of brave hearts, a lot of police chaps who did excellent job in unearthing this white collar terror ecosystem. But this incident was avoidable and could have been handled more maturely and professionally. That's my take.
All right. So clearly, very precious lives have been lost in this accidental blast. And now joining on the conversation is my colleague Deepak S. Kumar, joining me from the newsroom. Deepak, over to you.
Right, Major General A.K. Sivaj, my first question to you is how can such a major accident happen inside a police station where the FSL teams were there, top officials from the Jammu and Kashmir police were also there, and this is clearly mishandling of the evidence that was collected.
Absolutely correct. They have never thought that this is ID, already maybe having a detonator and it can be exploited. It has become very sensitive because it has come all the way from Delhi to this place. More you handle, more sensitive it becomes. So therefore, there is a gap in this. The point is once you have a ID, you should do the sampling there only, and if forensic, if carrying it such a long distance, and this unfortunate incident I feel is avoidable. It could have been handled in a more professional manner. It couldn't have been a terrorist action. In fact, when they were handling this explosive, it has brought it home. As I told, that ammonia nitrate by itself is not a deadly thing. It can't blow, it can be burned. But once it is mixed with the fuel oil, and there is an initiation in terms of detonator, timer, and battery, then only it explodes. But what happens is once it is made ID and then you are carrying it, it becomes sensitive. And it means there was a detonation in that, there was a detonator, and it exploded. And the point was, since Jammu and Kashmir police is expert in handling, because such incidents are very common in Jammu and Kashmir, where the terrorists put IDs on the road also. So what we do is, once we detect that ID, we do not try to disarm it because it can be blown. It has to be blasted off there only majority of the time. So the point today is, until unless there is a wire which you can cut, there is a timer, there is a detonator. I feel it should have been handled in a more professional manner, and we could have avoided these casualties. These are unfortunate casualties.
Major General A.K. Sivaj, this was not a traditional IED which is used by terrorists, like you clearly mentioned. This was more complex. So do you think that you needed experts who were, probably who probably specialized in ammonium nitrate should have been at the scene at that particular spot to, probably investigate? Because this is much more complex than an IED.
I do agree with your this question, and there is an answer in what you asked is a question. No doubt, it is a more complex because the module itself was very complex. First time when you are seeing white collar terror ecosystem, and those modules were doctors which you never suspected, and the type of explosive they have, ammonia nitrate with a fuel oil which become cocktail and this thing. So it required more matured handling. It is more complex. I fully agree with you. So when the Nagaon police has done an excellent job in unearthing this, and they are the one who first pointed out when Jesse Mohammed post were put, and then links were connected, dots were connected, and you able to nab these doctors who were involved in this white terror module ecosystem. But handling this, I suppose, need more professional, and they should have been more expert, because this sort of incident send a wrong message. One, that it means we are not expert in handling. Second, you have unnecessarily lost the brave hearts in this, and which will demoralize a police force like Jammu and Kashmir police, which is doing extremely good job under a very trying conditions.
Major General, my question to you on this particular blast incident also focuses on the investigation. Now, this was the evidence that was collected, right? These are the explosives that were seized from Faridabad. Around 350 kilograms of explosives along with chemicals were there. Now that the explosion has taken place, what happens to the evidence and the investigation further?
You know, one thing is that it may have some impact, but this is not the explosive. You have almost got 3 ton of ammonia nitrate, which has been already seized there in Faridabad. You can investigate there only, rather than carrying this explosive from place A to place B. Because as I told you, more you handle explosive, it becomes more sensitive. At time it can blow off without detonation also. So the point today is, I don't think there should be much problem. There is already evidence in terms of explosive there in Faridabad. I think that can be made use of it. Certainly it will have some setback, because here the sampling was done, because you need a proof, you need an FIR. In FIR you need this chemical as well as FSL team comments after carrying out a lab sort of testing. But certainly I don't think it should be a big issue. We can still handle, and there is not only one evidence, there is a circumstantial evidence, there is a corroborative evidence, and 4 doctors are already in the police custody. Their confession will also make a difference. It may be a slight setback, but it's not a big issue. It can be handled, because there is still almost about 3 ton of ammonia nitrate which was confiscated from Faridabad.
So what happens from here, Major General? You know, as far as the investigation is concerned, what's the way forward?
I think it is a temporary setback, and more than anything is that it's an unfortunate incident wherein we have lost more than 10 to 12 brave hearts. But certainly it will not make much difference to investigation. There are alternatives to it. There is more explosive which was seized. That can be now, sampling can be done on that, and I suppose that will be done. Yes, it is a temporary setback, and more than anything else, you know, it is unfortunate that we have lost more than 10 brave hearts.
Right, Major General, that's all from my end. Over to you, Ishita.
All right, that's the latest we know. But Major General, I'd also like to ask you about this, that you said that the threat of white collar terrorism, it's rising, and when it comes to that, the investigation and the probe around it becomes complicated. So from your perspective, how big of a threat this is, you know, of white collar terrorism that we're now witnessing?
Absolutely, it's a big problem. It's a threat which is looming large, and this is a new type of terror which has been now unearthed. You know, earlier we used to think that terrorists are those who are illiterate, majority of them, and they are unprivileged society, so they are the one which are forced into terrorism. But doctors which are respected in the society, they are the white collar terror ecosystem part. These overground workers, sleeper cell, this has really opened a new Pandora box, and we have to connect the dots. This is a tip in the iceberg. You will find this will be a larger conspiracy. We need to act fast and try to nab them. I suppose that is a requirement of the day. Not only this, in the southern part of the country where there is a ISIS module, the ISIS follow this. They radicalize the youth which is literate through the social media. So this, along with this, is deadly. Whatever has been unearthed, the white collar terror ecosystem is a challenge for the nation in future, but we have a capacity and capability to contain it, but we have to be at it. There has to be a multi-pronged strategy to curb it.